The streets are talking again, and this time, it's not just noise, it's chaos. When Cam'ron and 50 Cent team up, you already know something major is about to break. But nobody expected this leaked footage hitting the internet. That might just end Jim Jones' image for good. For years, rumors have swirled around Jim's secret deals, backdoor connections, and betrayals buried under street politics. But now Cam'ron, once Jim's closest ally in the Dipset movement, has joined forces with one of the most ruthless truth-tellers in hip-hop, 50 Cent. Together, they've dropped footage that fans are calling career-ending. The clip supposedly shows Jim in a situation that contradicts everything he's preached about loyalty, streets, and brotherhood. People are saying this footage isn't just a leak, it's a confession on camera. And if you know 50 Cent, you know he doesn't post or speak without receipts. Add Cam'ron to the mix, and this isn't just entertainment, it's revenge served cold. In this video, we're diving deep into the leaked footage that has the internet shaking, the real reason Cam'ron decided to expose his former brother, and why 50 Cent chose this moment to back him, because this isn't just about old beef, it's about power. Pride and secrets finally catching up in public. And trust me, Jim Jones won't walk away from this one clean. Before the leaked footage even dropped, before hashtags started trending, and before fans started choosing sides, there was brotherhood. Cam'ron and Jim Jones weren't just collaborators. They were family in every sense that mattered in Harlem. Back in the early 2000s, the streets of New York watched the rise of the Diplomats. Dipset, a movement that wasn't just about music, but about Harlem pride, loyalty, and the raw truth of the Hustle.com's single quotes. Ron was the face, the visionary, the one who saw how to turn Harlem style into global influence. Jim Jones. He was the soldier, the enforcer, the street rep, who made sure the block respected the crew. Together, they built something real. They made Dipset a household name, defined a sound, and became the blueprint for flashy independence. But behind the luxury cars, pink furs, and anthems, something darker was brewing. Ego. Fame twisted the energy, and what started as brotherhood slowly turned into competition. Cam wanted control. Jim wanted recognition. When Cam'ron took a step back from the spotlight for a while, Jim saw an opening, and he took it. He started building his solo legacy, dropping Ballin, and stepping into a new light. But to some fans, that move felt like betrayal. And to Cam'ron, it was personal still. For years, both men denied any deep rift. They smiled in interviews, spoke about respect, but the coldness was always there, like an old wound that never healed. Even when they reunited briefly in the late 2010s, fans could feel it. Something wasn't right. Then came 50 Cent, the wild card. 50 had his own history with both Cam'ron and Jim. Once upon a time, 50 and Cam were trading shots on radio shows, clowning each other publicly. But 50 doesn't hold grudges forever, not if there's a bigger play on the board. And when it came to Harlem politics and industry loyalty, 50 had been quietly watching for years. What 50 saw in Jim Jones didn't sit right with him. Behind the scenes, 50 had hinted before that Jim wasn't as loyal as he wanted the world to think. He posted subtle jabs on Instagram, threw in cryptic captions about snitches and industry puppets, and fans caught the clues. It was classic 50 dropping bombs without saying names. But this time, the names weren't hidden for long. Fast forward to 2025, Cam'ron and 50 Cent. Two men with sharp tongues and sharper instincts suddenly appear aligned. They start commenting on the same posts, liking the same shady memes, and whispering about something coming. Nobody knew what to expect until the footage leaked. The video that hit social media wasn't some random clip. It wasn't an edited rumor. It looked raw, authentic, real, according to sources close to the situation. Cam'ron had been sitting on that footage for years. It reportedly shows Jim Jones having a conversation that contradicts everything he's ever stood for in public. Talking to people he once called enemies, making deals he swore he'd never make, and throwing names under the bus. And when 50 got wind of it, he saw an opportunity to do what he does best, expose hypocrisy. 50s. Reputation in the game has always been built on power moves. He doesn't just beef, he strategizes. When he speaks on someone, it's because he's already got the proof in his back pocket. So when he reposted a blurred still frame from the leaked footage with that smirk emoji and the caption, "Told y'all, he been playing both sides," the internet exploded. Cam'ron followed up minutes later with a simple post. The truth always finds its way out. Hashtag NoCap #Harlem. Within hours, Jim Jones' name was trending across Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Fans flooded comment sections, some defending Jim, others calling him a fraud or snake. Hip-hop pages went wild, dissecting every frame of the clip, speculating about what was said, who was in the room, and what it meant for Dipset's legacy. Industry. Insiders started whispering that this was bigger than music, that the footage might connect Jim to Old Street, deals and people from his past that he publicly distanced himself from. Some even claimed 50 had been sitting on additional footage, waiting for the right time to drop it. But what made this moment explosive wasn't just the leak, it was who dropped it. Seeing Cam'ron, Jim's former brother, standing side by side with 50 Cent, the industry's most fearless troll, gave the story weight. It wasn't gossip anymore. It was personal. In Harlem, people started revisiting old interviews. Clips resurfaced of Cam warning about fake love in the industry. Old videos of Jim brushing off questions about loyalty began to circulate again. The narrative flipped. Suddenly, Cam looked like the real one, the loyal friend who got betrayed. And Jim looked like the actor playing real. Even people close to the Dipset circle started speaking out. A few old affiliates hinted that the beef wasn't just over fame, it was over money. Allegedly, during Dipset's peak, certain business moves were made behind Cam's back and Jim benefited. For years, the public never knew. But the footage may have confirmed those whispers. And that's what made 50's involvement genius. He didn't have to start the fire, he just poured gasoline on it. By aligning himself with Cam, 50 sent a message. The streets don't forget. And the truth always comes back around. For fans, this was entertainment. For Harlem, it was history repeating itself. For Jim Jones, it was damage control mode. He started posting cryptic messages on Instagram. "You can't trust nobody. The devil works overtime. I'm good over here." But the tone was defensive. The confidence wasn't the same. Meanwhile, Cam'ron didn't say much more. He didn't need to. His silence spoke louder than any rant. 50, however, kept the pressure steady, reposting memes, tagging blogs, and letting the internet do the dirty work. By the time mainstream outlets picked up the story, the narrative was already set. Jim Jones had been exposed. Whether the footage was fully real or taken out of context didn't even matter anymore. Perception had become reality. And that's when the bigger question began to form. Why now? Why did Cam'ron wait all these years to leak it? Why did 50 Cent suddenly get involved? Because in the music industry, timing is everything. And this leak wasn't random. It was a calculated move, the start of something much deeper than just a viral moment. The internet didn't just react, it erupted. Within hours of the footage surfacing, social media became a war zone. Hashtags like #JimJonesExposed, #CamRonLeaks, and #50CentReceipts were trending across every major platform. Fans couldn't decide what shocked them more, the content of the video itself, or the fact that Cam'ron and 50 Cent were standing shoulder to shoulder to bring it out. See? This wasn't just any random leak. According to insiders close to Dipset, that footage was recorded years ago during a time when the group was at its peak. Back then, Jim and Cam were inseparable. Brothers in hustle, in music, and in loyalty. But something changed. And if you listen closely to the tone in Cam's voice during the leak, it's not anger, it's betrayal. Cam'ron's move wasn't out of the blue. For months, subtle shots had been fired between the two. Old interviews resurfaced where Cam hinted that Jim had sold out for power, aligning with people he once claimed to hate. Fans didn't take it seriously until now. The leaked footage seemed to confirm every rumor Cam had ever hinted at. In the clip, Jim can be seen in what appears to be a private meeting, and the conversation isn't flattering. Voices discuss certain industry figures, backdoor favors, and deals that go way beyond music. The tone feels calculated, and for someone who's built his entire image around being a real one, the optics are devastating. The optics are devastating. And then enters 50 Cent. He didn't waste a second. He posted snippets on his Instagram with that signature smirk. No caption, just a sly emoji and a line that said, "Told y'all, these rappers ain't what they pretend to be." The post alone pulled millions of views. Within an hour, blogs, hip-hop pages, and gossip accounts were dissecting every second of the clip. What makes this even wilder is the timing. Just a week before the leak, Jim Jones had gone live saying he doesn't beef with washed-up rappers, a clear jab at Cam'ron and, indirectly, at 50. That statement might have been the spark that set this entire explosion off. Because if there's one thing 50 doesn't do, it's let disrespect slide. Industry insiders started whispering that 50 had access to that footage for months, maybe even years, but waited until now. Until Cam'ron was ready to co-sign to finally release it. Why? Because together, their voices carry weight. Cam'ron has credibility from inside the circle. 50 Cent has reach, influence, and the ability to control the narrative. When they combine forces, they don't just start a rumor. They rewrite history, behind the scenes. It's said Cam had reached his limit. He'd watched Jim take credit for things he didn't do, manipulate narratives, and quietly tarnish Cam's name in interviews. Cam stayed silent for years, letting time heal the tension. But 50, he thrives on confrontation. So when the two connected, it was like gasoline meeting fire. The leak wasn't about clout, it was about closure. Cam wanted the truth out. He wanted the world to see the real side of Jim, the side only insiders knew. The side that smiled in your face but planned against you behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Jim's response didn't help his case. Instead of denying the video outright, he jumped on Instagram Live ranting about fake brothers and edited footage. But the damage was done. Viewers pointed out details. The voice, the mannerisms, the background, everything matched. Even if the clip was old, it felt real. It looked real. And perception in today's culture is everything. Now, here's where it gets deeper. Sources claim that part of the fallout traces back to business beef, a clothing line deal that went south, a movie cameo Jim allegedly blocked for Cam, and whispers about who really ran the Dipset brand behind the scenes. Cam reportedly found out years later that certain partnerships had been diverted. And guess who profited? Jim. So when this footage dropped, wasn't just about embarrassment, it was about revenge for betrayal that had been festering for over a decade. 50 Cent's involvement only amplified it. Turning a personal grudge into a global headline, fans started choosing sides. Some called Cam petty, accusing him of airing out old drama. Others said he had every right, that Jim had been disrespecting him for years under the radar. The hip-hop community split in two. Even old-school rappers like Fat Joe and Jadakiss subtly commented online, saying things like, "Some people forget where they came from." As the dust settled, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a publicity stunt. This was a reckoning. Cam'ron had drawn a line, and 50 Cent made sure everyone saw it. And yet, whispers began that the leaked footage wasn't the only one. Rumors suggest there's more coming, even deeper. Darker clips that could shake up not just Jim's reputation, but others tied to him. But before we get into what that might mean, there's one question the industry can't stop asking. If this leak really exposes who Jim Jones is behind closed doors, what role did Cam'ron truly play in the game all along? Because sometimes the one exposing the secret has one of their own. When the smoke began to clear, the internet realized something. This wasn't just gossip anymore. It was history repeating itself. And it exposed something bigger than just Jim Jones. It exposed how loyalty and fame never coexist peacefully in hip-hop. The leaked footage had done its job. Jim Jones was trending, the blogs were eating it up, and fans were divided. But Cam'ron, he was silent. No interviews, no tweets, just silence. And that silence was louder than any diss track. It told everyone he didn't need to explain himself anymore. The footage spoke for him. But behind that silence, a strategy was unfolding. Sources close to Cam'ron revealed that he and 50 Cent had been working on something even deeper. A mini documentary project exposing the real story behind Dipset's rise and fall. The leak, they say, was just the promo. If that's true, this entire scandal wasn't just payback, it was marketing genius. Meanwhile, Jim Jones' team went into damage control. Publicists started calling the footage AI edited, trying to spin it as deepfake material, but fans weren't buying it. The voice, the body language, even the jewelry matched footage from the same era. You can't fake that kind of authenticity, especially when your opponents are masters of receipts. Then came the bombshell. 50 Cent dropped another cryptic post, a blurred still from what looked like part 2 of the same footage. Captioned, "Y'all thought it was over." The comments section exploded. Everyone wanted to know what else he had. What made this entire saga fascinating wasn't just the footage, but the message behind it. 50 Cent and Cam'ron weren't just attacking Jim. They were making a statement about the fake loyalty in hip-hop. For years, people had been smiling in each other's faces while making side deals, throwing silent shade and selling each other out for a few dollars in fame. This was a warning: if you're not real, your past will catch up. Industry insiders began whispering that this might even spark a bigger wave, that 50 Cent was planning a full expose series on different rappers who'd been fronting their image for years. And if that's true, Jim Jones might just be the first domino behind closed doors. Jim was furious. He called up mutual friends, tried to get Cam on the phone, but the calls went unanswered. Cam had moved on emotionally and mentally. What once was brotherhood had turned into pure business. And that's the part that hit Jim the hardest. Because no matter what, deep down, he knew Cam had once been his biggest ally. In one emotional moment during a podcast appearance, an old Dipset associate said, "Jim always wanted to be the boss. Cam was the leader, but Jim wanted the throne." That quote hit home for fans. Because when power and pride collide, brotherhood doesn't survive. And this was proof. The footage, no matter how old it was, reopened wounds that never healed. Every rumor about betrayal, every whisper about disloyalty, every shade thrown in interviews, it all made sense now. The fans began seeing the bigger picture. Cam'ron wasn't just trying to embarrass Jim. He was showing the world that you can't build fame on lies forever. As the days passed, Jim's reputation took a hit. Endorsement deals paused. Promoters hesitated. And while he still had loyal fans defending him, the shadow of doubt was too heavy to ignore. Meanwhile, 50 Cent and Cam'ron capitalized on the moment. Their old interviews started trending again. Their names resurfaced in playlists and social media feeds. In the digital world, controversy equals currency, and they were cashing in. But here's the twist most people missed. 50 Cent's real target might not have been Jim at all. Industry insiders claim that 50 used this situation to expose how the industry protects fake narratives. By backing Cam and letting him lead the charge, 50 got to highlight how people hide behind connections and image, and how easily that can crumble when the truth surfaces. The most shocking part came a week later, when Cam'ron dropped a cryptic message on his Instagram story, "When they play you, let the footage play itself." Fans took that as confirmation he wasn't done. More was coming. Now everyone's watching, waiting for part 2 of the footage. Nobody knows what's in it, but the streets are buzzing. Some say it's a clip that connects Jim to industry figures that could damage not just his brand, but his allies too. Others say it's just an extended version of the same tape. Either way, Cam'ron and 50 Cent have successfully done what they do best: control the conversation. And that's the genius behind all of this. Whether it's personal revenge, brand strategy, or both, they've proven that the truth, when dropped at the right time, can be more powerful than any diss track or press release. By now, Jim knows the damage is irreversible. Whether he's guilty or not, perception has already decided his fate. Because in this era, truth doesn't matter, virality does. But what nobody expected was how this would reignite the Inspect story. Old fans revisiting mixtapes, documentaries, and interviews, because when the footage drops, the truth finally talks. And in this case, it screamed louder than anyone expected. And there you have it, the truth. The betrayal and the receipts that shook the entire hip-hop world. But now the question is, what happens next? Will Jim Jones fire back with his own evidence? Will Cam'ron and 50 Cent drop that second clip everyone's waiting for? Or is this just the beginning of something way bigger than any of us expected? Because if history has taught us anything, when 50 Cent gets involved, things never just end. He always plays the long game. And Cam'ron, he's been quiet for years. So if he's finally speaking now, it means the story's only halfway told. But what do you think? Was Cam'ron right for exposing Jim after all these years? Or should this have stayed behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this story's far from over. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button right now because we've got every angle, every update, and every piece of leaked footage the industry doesn't want you to see. Smash that like button if you're riding with real hip-hop and loyalty over fake industry love. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown, because when part 2 drops, we're going frame by frame. This is real talk, real stories, real drama. And trust me, this next chapter is about to get even darker. Stay tuned, because the streets are still talking.